The one lady Scrappy trusted the most was out living as if he didn't exist while he lay in a hospital bed battling for his life. When the truth came to light, not only was Scrappy's heart broken, but the image of a ride-or-die love that fans had once believed in was also destroyed. What began as a health crisis escalated into a full-blown betrayal. This is a fall from grace, not simply some drama. When the truth eventually came, no one was prepared, even though the streets had been murmuring for weeks. The hardened heart of reality TV and Atlanta's own Prince of the Trap, Scrappy, was fighting for his life. Fans were praying, friends were posting, and family was rallying, but Bambi was taking unexpected actions. Let's go back in time. Scrappy and Bambi were rumored to be on the verge of reconciliation just a few months before everything became public. They were seen together, smiling in co-parenting harmony. At their daughter's school function, following years of public arguments, love and hip-hop mayhem, and quiet evenings of suspicion. The internet, which is constantly in search of a redemption story, seized the opportunity. They have reconciled. Blogs cried out. The Southern monarchs, the prince and queen, are back together. Beneath those smiles, however, was a war won of betrayal, distance, and silence rather than of fists or insults, according to people close to the marriage. Bambi had already emotionally checked out while Scrappy was dealing with growing health problems, which he had kept very quiet, as well as possibly romantically. It began modestly. Missed phone calls, delayed responses, claims disguised as professionalism. People said she's working on her brand. She is simply focused. However, Scrappy's loved ones were aware that something was off. Not only was he had shed some pounds. No, he was dozing off throughout the recording sessions. Several public appearances were canceled by him. This abrupt invisibility was frightening for a man who had established his reputation as impenetrable. The hospital visit followed. Scrappy was taken to the emergency room late one evening. He reportedly complained of severe exhaustion and chest issues before collapsing at home. According to insiders, he was admitted for severe consequences and untreated conditions, but the hospital kept the details confidential because of HIPAA regulations. Blood pressure, according to some think it's worse. Friends and admirers flooded Twitter with #Pray for Scrappy the following day. Bambi shared a selfie. Grinning, hair was laid, no caption. It was subtly done. Perhaps even innocuous too. The naked eye. However, it seemed strange to those who were closely observing the timeline. The internet began to pose queries. Why hasn't Bambi mentioned Scrappy at all? Why does she act like nothing is wrong? The genuine tea began to boil. At that point, Bambi was spotted at a fancy lounge in Atlanta, according to an anonymous direct message that was released to a well-known gossip writer. The mail contained a forceful accusation, timestamps, and partial photos. Bambi gave a hug to a man who was most definitely not Scrappy. It appeared comfortable, very comfortable. Most initially dismissed it. Individuals engage in gossip. Couples quarrel. However, a second leak surfaced, this time from a reliable source in the entertainment industry. Bambi was spotted once more, this time going into a posh condo in Buckhead with a well-known promoter, who had been connected to several reality stars in the past. However, supporters were prepared to overlook her. Perhaps she and Scrappy were no longer together. They might have taken a break. However, Scrappy's mother, the outspoken Mama D, became enraged upon learning about the rumors. Mama D revealed it to the world in a since-deleted Instagram Live. While my son is in the hospital bed, how do you avoid playing with me? This is how you treat the boy who gave you your name and your children. I will never be able to forgive that. Within hours, the video became viral. The public suddenly began to turn against Bambi. Bambi, however, didn't remain quiet for long. On her tail, she shared a mysterious message. Just because you hear the loudest voice doesn't mean you know the whole story. That was it. No name was given. Don't deny it. No clarification. While most people were perplexed, some insiders weren't. The couple's close friends claimed that Bambi had become numb to Scrappy's hardships. It seemed like years of conflict, emotional detachment, and personal accusations had created a barrier so strong that not even a health concern could top it. According to one insider, she felt like she had already been fighting for too long. She had already left in her mind. However, that betrayal was more painful for Scrappy than anything he had ever experienced in his career as he lay in a hospital bed, cut off from the world that had previously hailed him. According to several pals, Scrappy learned about Bambi's excursions from the blogs. Consider that. You're barely surviving with IVs attached, and your phone is buzzing with stories accusing your wife of being a cold-hearted cheater. According to one friend, he said, "I'm not even anymore. Simply numb. She is outside when you are at your lowest, even when you give everything you have." The public was unsure of whether to be confused, angry, or sympathetic. Was this a premeditated betrayal, or were we seeing a classic case of a dysfunctional partnership disintegrating? Because Bambi became all glam just as Scrappy was discharged from the hospital, looking weak, silent, and avoiding photographers. She was beaming from ear to ear as she walked the red carpet at a high-profile Atlanta fashion event. Not a word about Scrappy again. No remarks in public. Nothing to say. The world started to realize that the cracks were irreparable. What, though? According to reports, Bambi was pitching a new reality TV deal that would only highlight her business, her journey, and her truth. Supporters were divided. After spending years in Scrappy's shadow, was she regaining who she was? Or was this a callous attempt to profit from chaos? As of yet, nobody knew the solutions. However, one thing was evident. The romance for which we all cheered had turned into a battleground. And the one who went out bleeding was the one who put all into it. Tenacious. What about the treachery? It was more than just a new dude. The time was crucial. It has to do with quiet. It was about battling for your life while being abandoned physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And don't assume that this is the end of it. Because in part 2, old secrets come to light again, and the whole city is rocked by Bambi's relationship with another significant ATL figure. Are you tenacious? He is no longer keeping quiet. Scrappy's truth was on the streets, even though his suffering was contained within the hospital walls. And that fact was rapidly coming to light. The blogosphere had already erupted by the time Scrappy was released and returned home, recuperating. In silence, Bambi's late-night outings were the subject of more than just rumors. More pictures surfaced, additional videos. And now they were throwing new names into the crucible. A single name caught my attention: Rodney Big Ro Freeman. Big Ro, a well-known promoter in Atlanta with a polished smile and a track record of comforting famous women through transitions, wasn't new to this. He was loyal to it. Big Ro had always been on the outside of the love and hip-hop scene, but had never really taken center stage until now. He was well known for his luxury car rentals, bottle service nights, and connections in all of the main ATL hotspots. According to witnesses, Bambi was seen at his unit several times in a single week. According to one report, she even spent the night there and only left at noon the next day, appearing unbothered and bougie as ever. Here, however, the conversation shifted from rumors to fuel. A video of Bambi and Big Ro arguing in a restaurant parking lot appeared online a few days after Scrappy arrived home. It initially appeared to be a fight between lovers. However, fans and lip readers analyzed every second, and one thing stood out. You claimed he was finished. The internet was split in two by that single sentence. Even before Scrappy's health problems, was Bambi already making plans for her future? Was she acting boldly because she thought he was done in public, emotionally and physically? Rapper Young Jock, Scrappy's close pal, fueled the flames with a dubious Instagram story. You're just waiting for the switch to flip. Despite what some of you say about riding or dying, no names, no tags. Fans, however, were well aware of the person he was referring to. Scrappy's quiet was deafening. The man who had stood his ground in the face of family strife, public humiliation, and rapped about fidelity was now silent. Silence, however, is powerful. Tension is increasing. Furthermore, Scrappy didn't break it through a song, tweet, or television appearance. A source too close to deny it shared a private voicemail he left behind. Scrappy's voice cracked on the recording with both anguish and determination. "Everyone, I prioritized our family over my work. And while I'm in a hospital bed, you're out here grinning with guys? No, you revealed your true self to me. I only wish I had noticed it earlier." During that week, that 23-second clip became the most shared audio on urban blogs. Supporters went into full defensive gear. Team Scrappy became popular. Even former Love and Hip Hop ATL cast members had something to say. His ex-wife and daughter's mother, Erica Dixon, shared a single statement on social media. "God sometimes permits betrayal to teach you the true meaning of peace." It was not a subtle shade. However, what happened next made it even worse. According to a direct message leak from a close friend of Bambi's, Scrappy had been dealing with more than just health problems. The message disclosed he was experiencing panic attacks and anxiety attacks. She grew weary, claimed that she had not enrolled to play nurse. That line blew up. Days were spent debating. If Bambi was emotionally spent, was it improper for her to leave? Or did devotion entail remaining, particularly while your significant other is battling for their life? Black and white wasn't the case. But Bambi was losing quickly in the court of public opinion, particularly after a 2019 recording of Bambi saying the following in a since-deleted podcast interview came to light. "I'm incredibly loyal. I keep it down even when he doesn't deserve it. However, I'm leaving as soon as I feel like I'm the only one standing up for us." Did she foresee this time as the out? Some supporters stood up for her. They claimed that Scrappy wasn't innocent, that Bambi had endured too much, and that perhaps this treachery wasn't unexpected but rather long overdue. Others, however, weren't so understanding. They drew attention to the time, pointing out how she avoided public recognition of his battle, how she partied while he recovered, and how she vanished amid his health issue. The following shocking revelation followed: a new agreement. Bambi reportedly agreed to a streaming platform's solo reality project agreement, which would just include her tale and not the Scrappy or Love and Hip Hop team. The pitch: her path to self-reliance following emotional exhaustion. The internet was startled. A fan posted on Twitter, "So you turn the story around and remove a bag after betraying him? No, that's chilly," was a vicious blowback. Bambi, however, took a stand and posted once more, "You guys are unaware that I am only just beginning." Suddenly, the story of treachery turned into a conflict of viewpoints. Was this a case of rebranding or betrayal? Scrappy remained silent in the interim, but according to sources, he had resumed recording. Silently, in private. Friends claimed that he was working on more than simply music, and that the booth had become his therapy. It was a tale, his tale, unfiltered, pure, unrepentant. According to one friend, he attempted to save pictures. This upcoming project uses derogatory language. And just when it appeared like the dust had settled, Mama D showed up again with one last haymaker. In a subsequent ferocious live, she directly criticized Bambi. "You might have tricked the gram, but you didn't fool me, girl. You left before he became ill. I am aware. I noticed the indicators. You chose fame despite my pleas for you to stay. That is now your legacy. Fame comes before family." Brutal. The lines were drawn by the end of that week. Scrappy supporters had come together. Bambi supporters stood up for her. However, the most important query remained. What transpired in private that neither of them dared to discuss publicly? For if Scrappy's quiet was a precursor to something cataclysmic, and Bambi was making money off of her suffering, then a storm was going to break out as we were all seated in the front row. And believe me, that storm is going to make all the difference in part 3. There had been too much silence. In the shadows, Scrappy, who is always the soldier and the southern gentleman with a quick fuse but a loyal heart, was finished recovering. And as Bambi kept flaunting her red carpet appearances, glopes, and carefully chosen captions about healing, the man she had referred to as her king had another thought: salvation. Not the nice plain kind, though. Scrappy's close friends attested to the fact that the therapy sessions had evolved into weapon sessions. He was creating a musical narrative with verse after verse and track after track, not only about suffering but also about lies, betrayal, and how love can deteriorate from the inside out when it is fueled by ego and celebrity power. It was not only music, either. According to insider leaks, Scrappy was negotiating to film a tell-all special with a big network. Not hip-hop and love, no reunion, but something very intimate, spontaneous, and unfiltered. Imagine trap confessions combined with red table talk. His objective, not retaliation, simply let go. However, as rumors of the impending project began to circulate, Bambi responded with video rather than words. Yes, video. Bambi shared a teaser video from her upcoming solo show, shocking even her biggest admirers. She was seen crying while sitting in front of a therapist in the hardly 1 minute long video. For a long time, I felt isolated. I was physically present, but was I emotionally present? I left years ago. Cut to another video of a woman yelling and screaming on the phone. Blurred speaker. Stop pretending that I abandoned you when you were ill. You abandoned Emmy long ago. Her side was the final line of the teaser. Her veracity, arriving soon. Boom. The conflict was no longer only public, was now strategic, well thought out, and very entertaining. The web. Divide. According to Team Scrappy, Bambi was fabricating the story to gain sympathy, altering the facts and painting herself as the victim. Scrappy had always played the sad boy card when things didn't go his way, according to Team Bambi, and this was her way of taking back who she was. However, then an unforeseen event occurred. Rapper Young Jock's wife, Kendra Robinson, a prominent voice of reason in the ATL reality scene, intervened with a shocking revelation. As Kendra disclosed on her podcast, "I adore them both, but let's not act like this happened overnight." Scrappy was on a downward spiral long before his health problems. What about Bambi? She made an effort, more than most people would have. There was no betrayal here. It was a matter of survival. Let the mayhem begin. Kendra's viewpoint was valid. There was no motive for her to lie, no influence to pursue. And perhaps things weren't as clear-cut as everyone she was supporting Bambi, or at the very least, softening. The story, however, Scrappy was no longer keeping quiet. He went raw in an unexpected Instagram Live. No music in the background, no filter, just him, face tense, voice low, hoodie on. I'm not going to criticize anyone. Let's be honest though. All I wanted was my wife when I was in that hospital. Not admirers, not flowers, but she wasn't just physically absent. Spiritually, in the mind. Lost. I'm hurt. Then, I am rebuilding. However, I will never allow you to rewrite me as the antagonist. Even if I'm not flawless, I loved her properly. His eyes filled with tears. The internet went silent at that very instant. There was no performance. Finally, from the hole left in his chest, a man spoke. In a single day, the live stream received over 3 million views. His comments were inundated by fans. Real men suffer too. Keep healing, King. We got you, Scrap. However, anyone who believed that the story would finish there was underestimating the ATL, because a final twist that no one anticipated appeared only a few days later. Screenshots, text messages, In a shocking post that she later removed, a well-known stylist claimed that Bambi had communicated with Cameron. Yes, Harlem's own, just weeks prior to Scrappy's hospitalization. She also alluded to improper discussions and purported plans to work together on a quiet media move. The timing sparked suspicions, but there was no concrete evidence of anything romantic. Why was Southern reality queen Bambi suddenly attempting to make friends with a legendary New York rap artist who had made headlines only weeks before for disparaging Jim Jones and entangling Chrissy in a messy drama? The dots were joined by the streets. Was Bambi forming her post-Scrappy persona by associating with influential people outside of Atlanta? It was best expressed by one fan. She isn't simply abandoning Scrappy. She is totally changing her brand. Scrappy remains silent about the Cameron link. However, according to reports, he viewed the communications and that was the last straw. He ceased discussing healing together. He no longer referred to her as my wife. It was all about preserving his legacy now. His most recent single, the song While I Was Down, is a lyrical assault on emotional desertion, timing, and treachery. Additionally, one word sliced through the beat like a razor as the outro played on a sample he shared while I was on monitors. You picked your moment, and I thought I was done, but now I'm just dominating. The conflict was over. However, the injuries would persist. Bambi. She took a step forward. Her program was broadcast. Reviews were divided. She was referred to as performative by some, and bold by others. She remained unconcerned in any case. Concentrated. Promoting the brand. Are you tenacious? I'm back in the studio. Going on another tour. And above all, grinning. He did so because he survived it, not because he was over it. What about love? It would require time. Have faith? Longer still. However, the message was unmistakable. Genuine ones are not broken by treachery. Kate creates them. And regardless of whether supporters were on Team Bambi, Team Scrappy, or Team Truth, one thing was certain. We all witnessed a romantic narrative turn into a warning. A reminder that heartbreak is not always silent. Occasionally, the world observes. This story is far from finished, and we would now like to know what you think. After years of carrying a heavy emotional burden, did Bambi finally put herself first, or was she truly wrong to go when Scrappy most needed her? Was Scrappy a part of a poisonous cycle that they both contributed to? Or was he the victim of betrayal? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Are you a member of Team Scrappy or Team Bambi? Remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and enable notifications because there will be more tea soon. As you are undoubtedly aware, a TL drama never sleeps. And we have inside information on Bambi and Scrappy's upcoming developments. For behind-the-scenes videos, fan comments, and unreleased footage that was never seen on air. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at @DramaUnlocked. Faith, notoriety, love, betrayal. You're witnessing this story unfold in real time. And it has. It all. Because when the truth comes out, only the authentic ones make it out alive.